Hey everyone, welcome to day 54. Today's got me right in the heart. So if you're like me, this is gonna really bless you. The title is Indecision, and we are on the topic of blessing blockers. The devotional is linked in the description, and the scripture is Ecclesiastes 11:4, and it says, "If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done." And the devotional says, prayer is essential, but it can become another hideout, an excuse not to make a bigger, bolder decision. If you find yourself afraid to move until you hear God speak, that is still fear. And God has not given us a spirit of fear, 2 Timothy 1:7, but of power, love, and a sound mind. But what if good is good enough for God's grace to make up the distance? What if God speaks most powerfully by saying nothing at all? The belief that we have to get it right or will somehow step out of grace stems from the fear that if we're not careful, we're going to mess up our lives or mess up someone else's life or severely disappoint God to the point that we'll have to face his wrath. That's our real guiding belief. It's a subtle but toxic form of perfectionism that pollutes our ability to use the mind that God gave us. We overthink, overpray, and over-research our way out of blessed opportunities. And we over-question, trying to discern whether something is God's will. God desires that we become leapers instead of watchers. Also, God never said we should wait for the perfect time. He wants us to trust his timing, which is almost always inconvenient and intimidating. Perhaps it's time to do what God has already said, to do what he's already written in his word, to meet a need that we can already see. We don't need to hyper-spiritualize the obvious. We won't know 100% of the time exactly what God's will is, and we don't have to look for confirmation in every possible avenue. That's fear, not faith. You guys, every bit of this, I'm like, yep, that's me. I've come a long way, but this still, if I was Superman and I had kryptonite, it's indecision. It's the fear and the crippling anxiety and being paralyzed from making a decision. But the thing that I learned early on, I think I heard it somewhere and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. In my mind, I wasn't making decisions because I was afraid of making the wrong one. The thing is, not making a decision is making a decision. And 99% of the time, it's making the wrong one. Because you're letting life happen to you rather than you choosing the life that you want. And I do love, when it talks about what if good is good enough and God will make up the distance. We're supposed to be leapers, not watchers. The thing is, if you trust God will talk to you and speak to you, if you were to ask me, I say, yeah, I trust that God will speak to me. So then why not keep moving forward and keep walking and leap until or unless he says not to? So often in my life, and I love how it says, prayer can be essential, but it can become a hideout. I'm not going to make any decisions unless God tells me to. Lord, what should I wear today? Lord, what should I eat today? Now, it's between you and God. So if you feel like you're supposed to do that, go you. Do whatever you feel that you are, is obedience. However, I know for myself, 100% I've hit out in prayer. Lord, I want you to guide every step. And my heart was, half of my heart was in the right place because I want God to order my steps. The other half, 100% was rooted in fear because I was afraid if I made the wrong decision, if I drove the wrong way home, if I talked to the wrong person, if I missed an opportunity. It was more driven by fear than the desire for God to lead my life. I have had to course correct and get into the mindset that I do hear from God. Not only can I trust God, I can trust myself. And that's been the biggest thing. And even showing up every day doing these devotionals, even if no one watched, I would still do it because this is me making a commitment to myself, following through for 100 days. And you know what? Now that we're a little over halfway, my confidence has just grown so much in myself because I have a history of breaking promises to me. I am there for everybody else, whatever anyone needs. I'm your girl. I'll be on time for you. I'll follow through for you. But when it's my thing, when I say, oh, I want to work out, I want to wake up early, I want to do this for the betterment of myself, I will let myself down. And it'll be like, oh, someone else needs me instead. So that's okay. I don't need to work out. I can just go meet this need or that need. And I don't trust me to follow through. I don't trust myself. And so because of that, it really just has crippled my confidence. And just everything about this just hit home for me so much. I also heard something recently that was favor doesn't ask for feedback. When God calls you to do something, it is not then our job to turn around and ask people what they want. For example, if on Instagram God said, hey, I want you to start posting devotionals like he did a few years ago. I want you to post devotionals every day. And I went on Instagram and said, hey, would you guys like to see that? That's not obedience. That's indecision. That's not being confident and moving forward in what God told me to do. And I think so often we know what we're supposed to do. We know exactly what we're supposed to do, but we're waiting for feedback. We're waiting for the conditions to be perfect. We're waiting for permission from someone somewhere, and I just want to encourage you, because this is like me talking to myself. We need to be leapers. We need to just get out there and leap. If God says no or says not to, we got to trust ourselves enough. Well, we have to trust God enough that he'll talk to us and tell us, no, don't jump off that cliff. Obviously, if it's going to be a danger. We have to trust ourselves enough to hear him and then to be obedient. I love how it says too, like, we don't have to look for confirmation in every possible avenue. That's fear, not faith. In the Christian culture, I feel like it says, oh, I need confirmation for X, Y, and Z. There's nothing wrong with confirmation, but when God tells you to do something, I think we need to get better at just boldly being confident and obedient and just walking in it without waiting for 100 other confirmations. God telling us, or that feeling inside of us when we trust that we know the voice of God, like, that's confirmation enough. The question, how does fear tend to show up as indecision in your life? And the prayer, Lord, give me an undivided heart. Guide me in the way that I should go with boldness, decisiveness, and surrender. I'm going to try to read this every day because I still sometimes, I don't know. I used to just be so terrified of making the wrong decision. Like it said, I was going to let myself down. I was going to let God down. I was going to let someone else down. The thing is, and what I didn't realize until a light bulb went off, is all of those unmade decisions. I'm afraid of making the wrong one, so I'm not going to make one. Those were made decisions, and I ended up with a life that I hated. I don't know what school to go to, so I'm just not going to pick a school. Well, I ended up at a school that I didn't like. I ended up in a position that I hated. Well, I don't know what job to go for. I don't know what career, so I'm just not going to pick any. I ended up in a job where the staff was fine, but the owners were terrible, like abusive, just toxic environment because I didn't make a decision. So anyways, I just want to encourage you, make a decision, boldly go in faith forward to wherever God's telling you. And prayer is great. Prayer is wonderful, but don't hide out in prayer. All right, that's it. Hopefully that made sense. Like I told you, it got me in the heart. So I'm going to be meditating on that one for a while. But anyways, I love you guys and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.